Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and happy 2024. I am so excited that you guys decided to join us again as we're unpacking everything you need to know about Northeast Florida real estate, whether it be Jacksonville, St. Johns County, St. Augustine, Palm Coast. We cover it all on this channel. Now, we're going to be unpacking a very important topic today, which is schools. That's one of the major things that you guys reach out to me about. As many of you know, I am a former educator. Well, I guess I'm still certified as an educator, but just not working directly in schools anymore. But I started off more than, 15 years ago as a middle school teacher for 7 years, then a guidance counselor, then went on to be a college advisor for a very prestigious school in Georgia. So I kind of can give you the inside scoops on what are some key things you need to look at as far as schools and how to evaluate if it's a good fit for your scholar. Now, we did our first video, and we're going to get on the computer and show you momentarily. We did our first video where we talked about how to identify schools, and I'm going to put up the link in the description and up here for you to go back and watch our part one, where he talked about not always just because a school is an A doesn't mean it's a good fit for your scholar, especially if they have exceptionalities, like they have an IEP or they have a 504 plan. You want to make sure that just because it's an A school, that the necessary staff is in place to support your student exceptionalities, okay? And we're going to talk about how to evaluate that as well. So we're going to actually jump on the computer, show you where to find the information on where the schools are, like what address and what neighborhoods are connected to which school. Then we're going to dive on the Department of Education website to show you how to actually see if it's an A-rated school, and if it has the necessary things that you need in place. Then I'm going to give you 4 things to look at, because the report that from the Department of Education is a little more technical. If you're not an educator, you may not know what some of those terms are or what to look for. It's like a 20-page report. So I'm going to show you just some key things to be on the lookout for on that report, and just things to evaluate. Now, I've always said you don't want to use third-party websites to evaluate whether school is good or bad. However, when it comes to things like maybe great schools and you have parents on there giving their opinion of their experience, if you see a pattern of every parent complaining about my child is being bullied or my child is experiencing, I think I read somewhere, somebody said my child's been experiencing racism, and I don't know, I'm just making up something. That's what I read. And you see a bunch of parents complaining about the same thing. Maybe that's a reason for concern, even if it's an A-rated school, okay? So let's jump into all the details and get you the information you need to make an informed buying decision when it comes to your family and relocating here to St. Johns County or Duval County. All right, stay tuned, guys. Again, guys, for being here. Now we're going to go ahead and unpack really quickly, of course, our public schools right here in Northeast Florida. Now, again, where you have private schools, you have charter schools, but we're going to be talking about public schools and how to find out more information about the schools and how to evaluate them and where to get the best information. Now, Northeast Florida is, of course, this blue region here, and in the northeast part of Florida, these are our main counties that people are relocating to this area for. Everything from, as you see here, Flagler County, St. Johns County, Clay County, Duval County, and Nassau County, okay? So you may have already heard, of course, St. Johns County having the #1 school district here in the state of Florida, according to test scores, followed by Nassau County, and then we have Duval County, which is the largest county of all of Northeast Florida, because it covers, of course, Jacksonville, Florida. That is the largest city per square miles in United States of America. So though Jacksonville is not densely populated, it's not like overcrowded, but it is large. It can take you guys literally 45 minutes to drive from one side of Jacksonville to the other. I always say it's a combination of like 8 different small little cities or towns connected by bridges. All right, so we are going to actually look further into Duval County and St. Johns County and compare the two and tell you where to find the information about both of these counties, okay? So Duval County let's start there about Duval County. I actually just went to type in Duval County about us. This is the school district I have the most experience with because I was with them the longest. There's a B school district, as you can see here. And Duval County is, as you can see, I'm going to turn the camera a little bit, is the 20th largest school district in the nation. So it is really big. It covers over 197 schools, and look how many students it serves, which is almost, close to double, or at least triple, it's double the amount that St. Johns County serves, okay? Because it covers such a large territory. So oftentimes financial resources are spread across all of these schools. So you may be wondering, I know you may have noticed that it seems that St. Johns County builds schools a lot quicker than Duval County. It's because St. Johns County has a little more leverage to work with in the fact that they only have a population of 300,000 people, whereas Duval County has a population of 1.4 million people, and money has to go a lot further. So let's look at St. Johns County as far as the amount of schools and the amount of students. So right here, you'll see that St. Johns County has 51 schools in comparison to Duval County that has 197 schools. And it serves a population of 60,000, right under 60,000, okay? So again, drastic difference, much smaller county. So resources oftentimes can go a lot further with that, okay? I did want to point out also the price difference that you would see in Duval County versus St. Johns County. Okay, let me just show you that really quickly. Let me go to that really fast. So the average home in St. Johns County right now, that's over 35 different areas. When you add the highest home that may sell for 1.3 million to the least inexpensive home that's maybe 350, the average home in St. Johns County right now is, as of December, around the mid 500,000. So that's a single family home, 4 bedrooms, 2 bath, maybe 2,000 square feet, okay, average. All right. See days on market, we'll go into all that later. So let's go into, as far as Duval County, just so you can see the difference. Duval County covering 56 areas, that's a lot more. The average home is around the mid 300,000. So they do have homes that sell for over $1 million in Duval County, and some that are as low as, say, I don't know, 290, okay? So sometimes it comes down to price, which area may be a better fit for you and your family. But now that we know the difference as far as the size of the school, where do you find which homes are connected to which neighborhoods or whatever? So one popular neighborhood with my clients is Shearwater, which is one of the master plan communities in St. Johns County. We have so many master plan communities like this that have the resort style amenities and have the school inside of the neighborhood. You have a slight fee, of course, to live in these neighborhoods because you got to maintain all these great amenities and food trucks, etc. So we'll use this as an example. We'll use Shearwater and the address in Shearwater to identify how to find out. So what you're going to do for St. Johns County, you're going to type in St. Johns County attended zone information, right? And there you click, and you actually just put in the address of the property. For instance, let me see, it's right here. So it'll pull up this attended zone locator. You type in the address, and it'll pull up the schools. For Duval County, you do basically the same thing. You just type in Duval County Public Schools and type in school locator, and you just type in the address of interest. Now, if it's a new neighborhood, it's not going to have necessarily an address for a particular home because you're building the home. You just want to use the model home or the amenity center address in that neighborhood, and you can pull it up from there and find out about the schools. All right, so let's go back to our example here. Let's type in the address in Shearwater, just to use Shearwater as an example. There it'll show you always want to use the school board website, etc., to find out the schools. All right, don't use like the Zillow or Bill because they cannot be accurate. You can want to use the actual school board's website for the most up-to-date information. Okay, so this was saying there's zone for Timberland Creek, Switzerland Point, blah blah blah. So this will change eventually because Shearwater is getting its own school. Inside of its community is going to be a K-8 school. So these schools will be changing for certain zip codes or certain addresses, I should say, in Shearwater. Now, for those that have a problem with rezoning. I know some parents that makes them uncomfortable to know that their child will potentially be moving schools. You have to remember that rezoning is a benefit to your scholar because that way they're not in an overcrowded classroom, okay? Now, let's go ahead and further look at how do you find out if these schools are great and they're a good fit for your scholar. So you want to go to this website. You've seen me mention it and heard me say it before. It's called FloridaCIMS.org. Again, CIMS.org. I don't know why I couldn't say that. All right. This is actually managed by the Florida Department of Education. It is audited, regulated, like information on here cannot be false. Every year as a school district, and I should say as a school, each school has to sit down, go over their numbers, go over how kids perform, who failed, who did not, who's reading on level, who's not, where the school failed, where the school needs to improve and develop a plan is what they call right here, school improvement plan. So that's what we're going to look at. Let me show you how to access. You're going to go where it says public access. From there, what it's going to do is pull up every school district, county, I should say every county in the state of Florida. So every county in the state of Florida is right here. Okay. From there, you want to click on, let's say we're going to click on St. Johns County, and then we're going to find the elementary school for Shearwater, which was currently right now Timberland Elementary. Now, if you just want a snapshot of how the school is performing, we're going to go to this right side of the screen here. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Let me move it over just a little bit. Now, if you see here, it'll give you a snapshot of the performance of the school, a snapshot of, okay, because some people say, oh, I don't want my kids going to school with just rich kids. If you want to see if it's economically diverse, you can look there as well. But you want to pull up the actual school improvement plan. I'm going to show you what to look for there. So can you guys see that? So it actually, the most recent one is not available right now to view. So we'll just use the last one published here and we'll pull that one up. Let's pull that up. All right, so Timberland Creek Elementary. Now let me show you what to look for on this report, okay? So key things, guys, just remember during COVID, a lot of teachers left the profession. They were just really being mistreated, mishandled, and they're really paid very poorly here in Florida. So please give your teachers a break, guys. They're the heroes of our society and they're not treated and paid very well. So I can speak from experience as I used to be an educator. So let's go down and learn out how we can really use this school improvement plan to really learn about the school. If you're interested, of course, in the economic disadvantage, the minority rate, etc. Moving forward, this part here is really important. The amount of teachers that left the school versus the amount of teachers that joined. So you want to see, key thing, guys, with the amount of teachers that have left the profession, you want to make sure that your scholar's school is fully staffed. That at least math and English is not being taught by someone that's not certified, like a substitute teacher is teaching your kid math and English. Not that they're bad people. You just want to make sure somebody that's actually gone to school and trained and they actually know what they're talking about, okay? You're not just a warm body, just babysitting. All right, other things that's really significant. Okay, you see where it says the number of students enrolled? That's important to know, especially when you're looking at these stats. Here, see where it says number of students with substantial reading deficiencies? If this number is higher than more than 35% of the students, you probably should be a little concerned. Because that means that most of the teachers are spending a lot of time just getting people on grade level. If your student especially is in advanced or they're honors and they're in the classroom with kids that are struggling just to read on grade level or perform on grade level, that could be an issue. If this number here, see level 1, so that means that kids tested below the reading standards for their grade level in English according to the statewide test that was given, and that's the same for math. If this number is significantly high, like over 25%, then that's probably a cause for concern. Another thing that is can be a skewed number is, this says a number of suspensions. So typically 7th graders are a bit naughty. So for schools that are K through 8, you will see probably a spike in 7th grade discipline suspensions. I should say how many kids will be suspended in 7th grade. But this is another thing to pay attention to, because of course, if a lot of kids are being suspended and, acting out, it does disrupt the learning environment. Other things, guys, that kind of give you just in layman's terms how the school is performing is this summary down at the bottom, which is basically the last few pages of the report, where the school has to explain their areas of weakness and then their strategies on how they're going to improve next year. So this will give you just the nitty gritty, where they're weak, where they're strong, and how they're going to get better. Okay. So Duval County has the same, when you go to Duval County, they have the same reports for you to use. Let me show you where else you can find the information. Of course, you can go directly to my YouTube. You want to click on the tab that says videos, right? You want to pull up the full catalog of videos here. There's another video I did here. I want you to see it, on how to choose the right school in St. Johns County, or good schools in Northeast Florida. And there we talk a little more about schools there. So again, you just want to go to the top. You can click where it says videos, or even click where it says playlists, and pull up the different playlists broken down by your needs. All right. Thank you guys for being here. We got one more part. We are working hard for you to make sure you get the most up-to-date information, and please show your support by pushing like so more of this content can get out to people just like yourself. Now, we want to hear from you in the comments. So far, what have you learned about schools in this area that maybe you didn't know before? All right, let us know in the comments, and stay tuned. We're going to unpack more details on great schools right here in Northeast Florida. So what did you think? Hopefully that wasn't too much information. Now, as you're analyzing Northeast Florida and trying to figure out which school district and which area may be a better fit for you, if it's really about making sure you choose the right neighborhood school according to your scholar, you want to make sure you look at their strengths, their weaknesses, and maybe even their interests. So as you know, both Duval County and St. Johns County has magnet programs, right, which are tailored specific career or interest programs like the performing arts. So Duval County actually has a really strong performing arts program between La Villa School of the Arts, offering everything from sculpturing, 3D painting, dance, vocals, script writing, all these different things. And that then goes into Douglas Anderson School of the Arts, both very high-rated schools for the performing arts. St. Johns County doesn't necessarily have a performing arts division as strong as, say, Duval County. So it's not, again, that one district is better than the other. It's going to come down to what's a best fit for your scholar. I've heard it said from a parent or two that I've talked to that they felt like the support for their student IEP was a little stronger in Duval County than they experienced in St. Johns County. So again, it's going to come down to your scholar. But really, guys, the key factors when it comes to a school, leadership really does make the biggest difference. The leadership sets a tone as far as discipline, as far as the expectations, as far as teachers, the culture, what will be acceptable, what is not. I remember working in a school in St. Johns County, and the principal set the tone that at no point did we as educators need to have our cell phones out, like not when we're having kids outside on the playground. They wanted to make sure that our eyes are always on the students, that we're constantly paying attention to their safety and their learning measures. And if we basically got caught with our phones, we were in trouble. So that's something small, but leadership does set the tone. They determine what funding will go. They will determine how many good teachers they can attract, because good teachers don't want to work under bad leadership. And a lot of times good teachers will follow good principals. So if a principal gets moved to a new school and they like that principal's leadership, they'll go with that principal to that new school. So just things to keep in mind. Other things, guys, that kind of evaluate, that can determine whether school is kind of maybe a good fit for you, is if there's a mix of experienced educators and new educators. You don't want to make sure that everybody's in the school is new unless it's their first year teaching. Not that it's necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you can take what you can get, especially if a school is not fully staffed, and they just have a teacher that's, willing and able, then hey, let's go for it. But what makes a good environment is when there's a mixture of experienced teachers and new teachers. The experienced teachers tend to help the new teachers with discipline, and the new teachers tend to help the older teachers with technology issues. Other things that, again, leadership goes back to that will affect your child's learning experience is disciplinary issues. So if the principal is not strong and has a strong system in place and strong deans in place to deal with bullying, to deal with, whatever kids behave, misbehavior, and it's constantly disrupting your children's learning environment, that can be detrimental, okay? Lastly, guys, another thing that's a big factor that's not necessarily reflected in a school grade is parent involvement. If they have a strong PTA where they're funding, they're going out, raising support, getting money for the school, it really does make a big difference in the learning environment, because where there's maybe a lack of money for copies. I remember sometimes a teacher, I couldn't even make copies. Like, I literally couldn't make copies. If I needed a handout, I couldn't make copies. We didn't have enough money. I know it sounds terrible, but it happens. But if we had a strong PTA, that in that school we did not, that was able to, rally resources and money, like I've seen in a lot of St. Johns County schools. The parents get together, they get with businesses, they pour their own money into the school and make sure that schools are fully funded, that kids lack for nothing. They throw programs for the kids, which is always a really big support to the learning environment. And guys, lastly, just keep in mind that these school districts both are struggling for financial resources. Oftentimes, taxpayer property tax is what funds these districts, and oftentimes just not a lot of money. Just remember, Florida educators are some of the lowest paid in the United States. I remember even me as a teacher, I was up 10 years as an educator with a master's degree, and I was barely making $40,000. And that's not to cry me a river, but just to give you a perspective. When people are like, I want this and this teacher's not doing this, I just want you to just keep things in perspective, that it's the public school system and there's only so much resources and funding to go around. So we can only put so many demands on a public school education. Now, if you want a little more control over your kids' education, like some of parents really make a big deal about the rezoning, you can always look into the option of private school or charter school. That way you're able to have a little more control. I had a parent that lived in Nocatee. They got tired of the kid getting rezoned 2 or 3 times, and they were like, enough. And they put their kid in a private school where they can control the pace of learning and making sure the kid wasn't rezoned, because it was established private school that has been around, that's A-rated, it was Episcopal. And they love it. And they've been living in Nocatee, still taking their kid to Episcopal every day. So if you want a little more control, that's always a great option as well. All right, that's a lot of information, but I'm here as your local expert to walk you through the process to make sure you get matched up in the right county, in the right community, in the right home for you and your family. So don't hesitate to reach out. I help families all the time relocate to this area, and I'm more than happy to walk you through the process and make sure you get exactly what you need. And just remember, as of now, on the buyer side of the transaction, it doesn't cost you anything to enlist a real estate agent to help and walk you through the process to make sure you're matched up correctly. All right, guys. So don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here to help. And don't forget to watch our part 1 video on some of the best schools right here in St. Johns County and Duval. All right, stay tuned.